Chuck, we're live. What's going on?
Yo, another day, another door. How you doing, sir?
Doing well myself. Just thinking of all these tips, thinking all these great tips we're about to reveal. So, we chatted a little bit about this offline, of course. Hopefully, everybody watching right now saw our last videos on customer experience and ways that you can really optimize that for your car dealership. Today, talking about a similar realm in the world of experiences, right? But this time, we're talking about on-site experience. What it's
Yes,
like when
sir.
people visit your website, what are they kind of virtually experiencing as they're communicating with your brand? So, first off, similar to customer experience in the, on the actual physical location, this is equally as important when you're looking at the website experience. And I think a lot of it has to do with the shrinking attention span that the consumers have nowadays. You only have so much time, so you got to make it happen quickly.
Yeah, the user experience has to be one of those things that not only happens quickly, but guides them down the path that you want them to go. Right, whatever they're looking for, whatever experience that they were expecting to have, the website has to provide that for them. Or like you said, they'll leave and go get the experience somewhere else. So yeah, we want to provide the right user experience, definitely on the site. I always say the website is always first base, right? Anyone who's interested
Yeah.
in your dealership or interested in your repair shop or whatever automotive kind of service you provide, they're gonna check the site out first to find where you're located, to see what you offer, to check out any reviews. Like they're gonna find all of that there. And so yeah, the user experience on that site is imperative to the actual generation of the lead for sure.
It's almost I would almost compare it to a restaurant experience, right? Because maybe the counter to that is, oh well, we've got great inventory. If you're lucky right now, we've got great inventory. Our service department is excellent. Why can't we just have them? If you build it, they will come, kind of thing. Think about a restaurant. How many times you go to a restaurant because the food is good, but the service is just non-existent?
Exactly.
The waiter waitress isn't really coming by making sure your water is more than half full.
Hmm.
Maybe your food, they don't really check, or it feels like it's waiting forever to get what you're asking for. So the metaphor for that is you have to have a good experience. You're not going to return to that restaurant even if the food's great if you feel like you're just an anonymous person there and it wasn't
Exactly.
built to guide you, your specific experience there. It wasn't tailored around you. Then you're going to bounce, literally and
Especially
on the
when
site.
especially literally and on the site, exactly. But especially when there's other restaurants with good food, right? That's the reality. Like as good as that food is, like there's other head chefs out here. There's other great cuisine. You know what I'm saying? There's other alternatives
Right.
to get the same type of meal, right? And so that's how important the experience is because the level of competition is so high that the experience is usually the differentiator, you know, between
Hmm.
businesses. And so and you're right, offline and online, as we talk about today, that
Yeah.
on-site experience is extremely important.
Well, with
So
that, I think we just dive on in, right? So
here we go.
the first thing that comes to mind for me, and I guess we got a nice odd number here, right? Of 7 different things that came to mind for us. The first thing that comes to mind for me is providing a helpful internal link experience.
Okay.
Especially think about you're catering the experience to the person who's still in that research phase. It's not
Mm-hmm.
entirely just that person, but for that person that's still researching, understanding what they want to do, what they want to buy. If you package into your, let me learn about the Subaru Impreza page, right? Model research page. If you've got links that show consumer reviews, you've got links in there maybe to the VDP to show an actual video test drive, right? To actually see what this vehicle looks like on the road. You've got links that stay within your site. We want to keep them on the site for sure. That provide that experience, help educate them, help give them what they're asking for.
Yep.
It's that was the first thing that came to mind for me. And not only
Yeah,
is that going
link.
to help with the actual experience, you're also going to get some SEO value from it.
Yeah, definitely. And that experience, another example link would probably be a link to the financing page or a link to the schedule a test drive page or whatever internal linking is relevant. And you're right, SEO value is key there. Cross links, right? They always have always been an SEO factor, right? And so this
Right.
is an opportunity to build on that factor in a relevant way, right? You're not even forcing it. You're creating SEO value by intentionally trying to help the user. Ironic
Right.
how that works, right?
Right.
So I totally get internal link definitely key to a good user experience. Sure.
For sure. And I mean, I know that some might say, well, choice paralysis can happen. We don't want to give them too many options. That's true. I think you want to have one central call to action. What is the next logical step based on where they landed on your site? That should be the call to action.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, you still want to have those helper links in between,
Well,
especially if
yeah, that's
people
why
are
you
using
call
it.
them. You specifically said internal links, right?
Yes.
And so these
Yes.
are links within the content. They're kind of they're interwoven strategically as the user is just reading this content, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, totally separate from your main call to actions and those things. Yeah, you're on it.
So I know you had a couple ideas of your own for automotive website navigation best practices. So what came to mind for you first, Chuck?
So the first one for me was really along the lines of what you were saying. Mine was improve the content flow, right? Improve the content flow, and we're thinking about the user, right? And so I began thinking about how I kind of analyze web traffic, right? So for example, let's say you're a dealership and you're looking in analytics and you're checking out your behavior flow report, and you see that most of your visitors who come from a Google search tend to land on your homepage, and then they click your search, and then they land on like some kind of service results page, right? The SRP page, and then from there they end up on a specific car page, right? We see this flow of traffic, and so then I'm like, okay, if that's the case, and we know that bulk of our visitors are kind of going down this path, then when we create the content, let's rank our content flow to cater people down that path, right?
Right.
Let's literally tell them these are the steps you should usually take. Let's make the search bar pretty obvious. Let's let them know that after you search, you will be here where you can review all of these cars. And so that's what I mean by improve the content flow, especially if we consider that bulk of those visitors will likely be on a mobile device. And so that this has to be done with a thumb swipe, right?
Yeah.
I need you to be able to thumb swipe and know, and then quickly type in the vehicle you're looking for, and quick thumb swipe again, and now there's a bunch of them. A thumb tap, and now you're looking at one, right? That
Right.
flow is the flow that we want to gauge all of these people to, or even maybe you're not looking for a car, right? Maybe you need a brake job, right?
Right.
So you still go to your dealership. You found them on Google Maps, right? Because their local was working. So you found them on Google Maps. You clicked the link to the website. Instead of searching, you went to schedule, right? Schedule a repair. And so, but you understood the flow. And so now you start guiding people down that way. And so we're talking website user experience, right? And these are kind of this
Mm-hmm.
navigation practices. And so we want to navigate people down the path that
Right.
we want them to go through. So that was my point, man, in reference to the content, improving the content flow of how you want to guide your website visit.
I think it's almost like think about like a tour guide. If you're going somewhere that's either foreign to you, or I don't want to say necessarily that you're uncomfortable, but I mean, for people buying an automotive vehicle, aside from a house, that's going to be their biggest investment of their life, right? Their lives. And in addition to that, service. If it's, hey, I know I need this thing done on my car, I never even have heard of what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Can somebody explain this to me? It's having that guide, giving them that reassurance all throughout their experience, saying, hey, here's the information. Next up, here are some different menu items, whatever the case may be. It's a tour guide getting them through the website. 100%.
Improve the content flow. So that was my number 2, man.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one. It kind of reminds me of the next one that I have on here is limiting plugins and pop-ups. And the reason why I mention that is kind of goes back to both the points we just mentioned. You want to create an experience that provides, resources, help the experience, help educate, help inform throughout the entire process. You start to have too many plugins, too many pop-ups, a couple of things are going to happen. One, it's going to slow your website down to a crawl. We started
Exactly.
this talking about the shrinking attention span that everybody has. You're really gambling with that if you start adding too
Mhm.
many plugins to it. The other thing that's going to happen is it's very intrusive, right? Think about the restaurant experience. You're eating, your server, a good server knows to kind of, when the plates are down or, your drink, they want to give you a chance to breathe and say, hey, would you like any help? They're not going to tap you on the shoulder mid bite. Hey, do you need anything? No, I'm eating my food right now. I've got a
Yeah.
fork and knife in my hand. So equally, those pop-ups can be kind of intrusive. They can deter. Those can provide some choice paralysis. Naturally,
Mhm.
having some links internally, hyperlinked is kind of intuitive, but it's not do this now in your face. Too many do this now in your face stuff is going to slow everything down. People are going to bounce. They're going to say, you know what, this is slow. There's too many things popping up. They're really pressing me. I'm not feeling comfortable right now. I'm going to
Mhm.
go ahead and X out.
Well, and not just that. If we were to talk SEO for a minute, the reality is Google's algorithm doesn't really like pop-ups and interstitials, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so as you begin to bombard your website visitors with pop-ups and features and this and that, yeah, you're kind of sending a sort of signal to Google as well, like, okay, this may not be the best user experience, right? And you could be impacting your own ranking because of too many plugins and pop-ups. And
Right.
so not only the user experience, which we're talking about, but the actual search experience as well can definitely be affected by that same problem.
Well, it's like going back to your first point on the website being first base. I mean, all those pop ups, it's like you're rounding third before you even make contact with the ball. So, I
Exactly.
mean, there's a process, right? There's a process.
And if they've got to the website and we've designed it right, we got the right content flow, we got the internal linking structure, the client will round themselves. They'll get the second base.
Yeah.
They'll get the third base by themselves. You won't have to. You won't have to do any of that stuff. And so you can wait till they start coming home, and then then present them with it.
That's
I
when
like
you reel them in.
that. Exactly. All right. So okay, cool. You said limit plugins and pop up. So my next one, um, I'll go with simple navigation, right? Simple navigation. So you talked about initially internal links like within the content, right? Which is different from the main menu, your main navigation,
Hmm.
right? And the title of this is Automotive website navigation best practices. So let's talk specifically about navigation for a minute.
Right.
And if we're looking at the automotive industry, one of the challenges that I've noticed, and I won't mention names of the sites I've looked at where I saw this problem, but the desktop version has been okay, but the mobile version has been a challenge, specifically with the menus, right? So one of the challenges I came across was if their menu had sub pages, right? And so you click the sub page and it expands. There was a problem if the background, like the full website that was behind the actual drop down menu, was scrolling.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to tap the sub page and I can't get to the sub page because I'm accidentally it's expanding the content, and then the drop down it didn't allow me to tap and then show the others. That tap was actually a click on one of the other ones, so I went to a different page, and so I was like, man. And then I went to a different site. It had it was using the hamburger menu, right? Which is kind of
Okay.
standard
Yeah.
on most mobile devices. Um, but it was, I don't know, probably was a CSS issue, I'm not sure, but it just kept collapsing. It would open up and then it would collapse every time I tried to scroll to see the rest of the menu.
Uh,
So then it would collapse. I was like, oh man, this sucks, right? Go to my MacBook for those same sites up, and the experience was much better, right? And so
yeah.
that kind of brought me to the point I'm making right now about simple navigation. It's more than just simplifying what that website visitor is going to see and click on, but literally simplifying the technology behind it so the experience can be better, right? And so I know we're here to provide some content about just really helping folks, but I do want to shout out to our development team for the NAF 2.0 project because I was featured with Ed, our CEO, and then our VP Alex on the webinar, the NAF 2.0. And so NAF 2.0 actually rolled out recently, and they intentionally solved that challenge of preventing access to the background when you're looking at the nav. And I think that solves two really good problems. One, usability, right? It's easier to use. And two, it kind of creates that funnel we were talking about in reference to the content flow. You open up this nav and now you can't be distracted by anything else. Kind of got to make a choice on what your next click is going to be, right? And so anyway, shameless plug, nav 2.0 available right now, and y'all can have that. But my main point is simple navigation, right? Whether you're desktop, mobile, or tablet, but let's be honest, it's all mobile. You want to make sure that mobile navigation is definitely user friendly, that it works, it actually functions, and that it guides people down the path you want them to take.
Yeah, 100% money right there. Because and the way you explained it with having the sub menu, that's provided that there's only one sub menu. Sometimes it can be 3, 4 of them things cascading out, and you're scrolling. I every time I pay my utility bill, the water bill, for the local community or whatever, it's a similar issue where if I ever hold my phone upright like this, the submit button is kind of covered by the bottom. Yeah, so for me to have to submit, I've got to rotate it. There's the button. Like, if they don't want my money, fine. But and the other part of that is you had way more patience doing that, probably just to audit or get to the bottom of the situation there.
Content here, and so I want to do my nice research to prepare for this, and so. Yeah.
Well, and the point that I'm making with that is a consumer very not likely going to have the same patience, right, that you had. Yeah, just like that. So, I mean, that's very important. And we've talked a lot about people landing on the page and, depending on how they got there. I think a lot of what I've implied has been almost PPC, or maybe people that are medium or lower down the funnel in a situation like yours where maybe they know exactly the name of the dealership. They go directly to the site. First thing you're going to see is the homepage. Now, where do I go? I know I want to do business with them, but let's make it simple, right? It starts with navigation. That's where you make it simple, is on the navigation. So this kind of ties into one of the points I had. If anything, it might be kind of me biting your idea with you're saying simplify navigation. My next point was to genuinely audit your menu regularly. So take a look at navigation. It's kind of the actioning part of your point, but there's prime real estate up there. There's really good information that you can include in there. Of course, inventory, new or used. I think it's also important to do service, but also humanizing the dealership. Meet the staff, about us, mission statement. What separates you from all the dealerships on your block doing the same thing you're doing. So audit the menu.
Radius between dealerships with 5 or 6 miles, and like what separates you from the people down the street?
Right. The other one, they got a coffee shop near them. I might swing by there unless you give me a reason to come to your dealership because it's more convenient. So use the navigation wisely, right? So if something is stale or no longer of importance, remove it. A lot of times you'll see community pages from 3-4 years ago. Remove it or update it.
Events on there. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. If anything, it's kind of a bad look. Like, hey, we're very involved. Look what we did 4 years ago. A little bit stagnant. So yeah, I mean, simplifying the menu to your point, and actually going through and auditing your menu regularly. Yeah. Exactly. Take a look at navigation. Simplify it. I mean, these are best practices. These are exactly how you're going to find the right customer in front of you, guiding them to the right place.
Kind of made best practice in my experience was not only auditing, but during this kind of menu audit, evaluate your most visited pages, right? Like if you spend the time in analytics, you see which one of your pages is getting the most activity, which page kind of leads to goal completions. It may be worth adding that page to your main menu, right? Depending on what type of page it is. And so definitely audit the menu. It's all of the menus, right? Your main menu, if you got a footer menu, you may have a sidebar, like audit all those just to make sure that the most relevant experience for that navigation is present. That's a dope point right there, audit. the menu, not just simplify, but audit it. You're right.
Right.
Because there's some trash menus out there. I've seen them. All of this.
There's some bad
Like those
ones.
mega menus. I was on the site the other day. Huge menu. Did one hover, open up with the big mega menu, and it had to be over 100 pages on the mega menu. And I was like, three of them that I clicked on took me to the same exact page, right? And I was like, okay,
Right.
this needs to be audited and simplified and everything. Because after I left the site, my imagination told me that most of those links probably were going to the same page at some point. So yeah, audit the menu. All right, so we'll keep it moving. The next one I had here was focus on speed, right? Focus on speed. We're talking about website navigation best practices, in the automotive industry, right? So I say focus on speed because when we talk user experience, we know that speed is the big factor in that. We know that you mentioned it 3 times already. The
Right.
impatience that people have, and that's driven by speed. And so if this is menu is lagging, if the site's lagging, if I'm struggling to get it to function, I'm wasting time. I'm not having a good user experience, and I'm going to bounce. And so you want speed. You want your site to load quickly. You want your menu to load fast and be easy to navigate through. You want easy access to the important pages. And you want it quickly, like right now, like on demand. Like I'm looking for a car, I see the car, I just saw an ad on this car, now I'm researching it, right? That's usually how that happens. Yeah, that's it. And now I'm researching it. I do, Honda dealership near me, right? I find it. Oh, there's one around the corner. I click the website link, and now I want to look up the CRV that I just saw a commercial for, but your navigation is trash. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
your site's not loading up for me. You know what I'm saying? Or I'm having a bad experience, and so you just lost a hot lead, right? You just lost a hot lead, and because of a navigation issue or user experience issue. So yeah, site speed is definitely important. And I'll plug into this as well. Back to an SEO perspective, right? At the end of the day, it's the reason why page speed is one of the top kind of factors within the algorithm as well.
Oh yeah.
Because Google knows that if the page speed is slow, then the user experience is not great, and they don't want no parts of it. And so that's how important focusing on speed is.
Oh yeah. I mean, the goal of your advertising, your marketing is to elicit emotion. Good ads get you emotional, right? So if you're already in an emotional state, you're probably going to remain in that emotional state. Now you can change the emotion really quickly.
Yep.
So if you're excited about, ooh, see that really cool vehicle, I want to look, boom, I Googled it. I see the circly wheel of death. Okay, now I'm frustrated. Okay, forget this dealership. X out. I'm going to go to the next one. Other CRV. I'm still excited. I still want to find it, but I know for sure the last person's out because they frustrated me. So yeah, I mean, speed is everything. You'd think that people would be a little bit more patient, but I want to say that the last number I saw was 0.3 seconds. I think if the home page doesn't load in 0.3 seconds, that the amount of people that bounce is just astronomically higher. So, I mean, 0.3 seconds, that's not even, you blink and then all of a sudden, it's wow, okay, I'm over it already. So a lot can happen quickly. So you got to take advantage of that speed for sure.
Yep.
So one of the things kind of ties into that, and the last point that I have is using video. So because people are, less attention, less time to give, or maybe their time just allocated elsewhere, try to make the most of it quickly. And video is a really good way to get that point across. Myself personally, I'm more of the reading type, but I mean, I'm blind. I'd be blind if I didn't acknowledge all of the different numbers that say that video. People say video is the future. They've been saying that for 10 years now. So video is the past at this point, but it's a must. It's a must. And not only does video help with the experience, but good video will also provide good SEO value, as rich media tends to do. So improving the overall experience, you've got your videos in there, they capture the message quickly. They're very, tied to the message, and it's not the most difficult thing to create video. I mean, any video is better than no video. We do, of course, have a video product with Wheels TV. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. But you know, showing on the road, vehicle test drives, all of that. So video is a really good way to help with accessibility as well. So it's that's just another way to tie the speed, experience, all of that. I always am a big fan of recommending video.
Yeah, we know how much video helps the user, right? This whole thing is about user experiences and website navigation best practices. And so we know when we just consider who our website visitor is, you know, the fact that they're likely on a mobile device, you know, on our previous post, we kind of identified that they're over 33% of these car buyers are millennials, right? And so we know, we kind of know who our visitor is. We know that video speaks directly to them, right? That's video speaks directly to them. And so video definitely improves the user experience if it's speaking directly to the user, right? And so we just make sure that those videos are accessible, right? Depending on which page and how you're navigating through the site, the right video shows up at the right time, presents you with the right information, and guides you down the path to, you know, hopefully going to schedule a test drive, right? or going to get a brake job, or whatever your action is at the dealership. And so yeah, videos work, and like you said, it's only going to become more and more needed and necessary for customer experience, right? You have to give them video to show. I think you mentioned it earlier, to highlight the personnel, right, about this specific dealership and company. Video is a great way to do that as well. So yeah, got to use video to help the overall user experience. I totally agree with that.
So that rounds out the list of 7. I mean, I'm sure if we spent more time, we can come up with plenty more. Plenty more. But for everybody watching, thank you for viewing. If you're having any issues, really want some help with maximizing user experience or helping with your navigation on your automotive website, don't hesitate to reach out. Chuck, of course, mentioned NAV 2.0. You can learn more about that product in the link below. And of course, always on the website, fzautomotive.com. And also in general, if you like content like this, there's a lot of it on all of our social media platforms. So you can follow, share, like, and subscribe. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn at FZ Automotive. So connect with us. Let us know some of the challenges that you all are facing in the automotive industry. And of course, we'll continue to deliver the tips. So with that, Chuck, thank you for your time, and I'll catch you next time.
Sure. Yeah, have a good one.